with watch list. I've got some updates from yesterday's trades, which have both been successful. So we'll just get straight into it. Let's share screen. And if you could please mute out, I'm very happy if we chat, ask questions, whatever's helpful. No problem at all. So before we go on to the Harmonic Scanner, just to say to everyone who's in the free trial group this week, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a great time. It's literally raining pips in our Discord chat group. It's just absolutely brilliant. That's more of my alerts going off. Let's have a quick look at that. Euro NZD. And please make sure that you go through the units section. This has gone the other way. I thought it would go for a sell. Well, not I thought, I was hoping it would, because I had two strong lines of support and resistance and quarter theory there, but it's come up to this level. Let me just, this is trading view glitching. This is Euro NZD. Let's just remove that alert. I'm on the 1 minute chart here. Let me see, before we do the updates from yesterday. So let's see what we've got here. It's coming into the outer extensions of this green pitchfork. Now, you may not use pitchforks. All they are trend lines at an angle. I know it looks a bit like Star Wars, but they're incredibly accurate. I happen to have two scanner pitchforks showing here because of whether it was going for the sell or the buy. So let me just take out this one for the moment. And you can see this latest harmonic scan. I draw them onto trading view. I'm on the hourly now, and this is quarter theory, every 50 pips, strong lines of support and resistance. So instead of drawing them manually, I just click a button here, on and off. If you want the settings, ask. And every 50 pips, then I've got a line of support and resistance drawn. So what we can see happening at the moment is this has come from an older scan. So in fact, I can hide that one for you. And we've got it coming up to the extensions. I can take that alert off as well, because it didn't go for the sell. Let's remove that. And I've drawn a little brush mark to remind me what I was looking for. I'll remove that. And then these are my moving averages. Again, these are simply a rolling line of support and resistance. So you can see how it shovels price down if it's below the orange line, which is the 1 minute moving average, which is the current momentum of the market. Then price is selling. And if it goes above, it's buying. So one confirmation for a buy. And then as soon as you see it cross back down and it's crossed below quarter theory and the 62 EMA, then that's your indication to get out of that trade if you haven't got out somewhere up here at quarter theory where it's stalled out 3 times. Again, price, it shoveled it down. Again, it's touched to the pip down on this pitchfork, call it a trend line, stalled out there, come up above, and now it's just hitting quarter theory and the outer extensions. So if we come down to the 1 minute chart, so I can show you what it looks like and the current momentum of the market. We'll just get rid of that because it didn't do that. And do bear in mind time as well. I do look at the 15-minute candle close, 30-minute and the hourly, and I never enter a trade 10 minutes before the hour. So this is saying buy because the 1 minute, we all have confirmation lists. If you're doing Be Your Own Bank, you can use quarter theory and pitchfork, and I'll show you in a minute on 2 successful trades from yesterday how using the quarter theory I marked the take profit slightly more than the 75%, and it would have helped you get 3.3 more pips. That doesn't sound a lot, but on your percentage compounding on your account, if you add that up over a year, it adds up to a significant increase on your percentage. So what we've got it saying here is it's saying buy because the 1 minute has crossed over the blue line, which is simply the 1 minute chart, 1 minute moving average, as it would be seen on the 15-minute time frame. So it saves me switching to the 15-minute time frame because it's measuring a different number of 62 candles depending on the time frame it's on, and will appear in a different place. So the orange line is current momentum, but as you can see, instead of drawing lines of support and resistance, I've simply clicked on and off my quarters theory there, and I've got a pitchfork drawn off the scan, which, as I say, is a trend line. So if price is going to break through up here, it's got two lines of support and resistance that it's got to break through. It looks like it wants to do that. We'll have a look at the 15-minute candle close, and you can see that it was a doji candle, which means indecision. And then it has, let me just zoom into that for you. So strong upward momentum still. That's the 15-minute. You can see the seconds counting down on this timer on the right-hand side, and it will finally print forever how it's going to appear. And it's just rejected quarter theory, but it's opening on a new buy candle. So you need to look at the candle close, because that's how the candle will finally print. It will only make its decision on its final close. So this is its open and this is its close. So if you look at the previous candle, you've got the lowest open here, and then the height that it reached, and then that's where it closed. That body is where it closed. So that's how you read the candles, and vice versa on a sell candle. It opened with a flat top there. This green one is sell, and then it came down. That was the furthest it went. It touched quarter theory, but that's where it finally closed, 50 pips up at that quarter theory. So that's your final close position where the body closes. So that's our 15-minute candle. It looks like it still wants to buy. I'm only going to give you trade ideas, not actual signals. This is education. It's up to you to make a decision, or if you're fairly new or on the trial group, then you'll be on a demo account. So practice on demo. That's what it's there for. And that's how you get proficient. Excuse me. So just have a look on the 1 minute on this one, because that shows me the current momentum. Now, if that, so I look for 3 confirmations. So if it does a break and a retest, then I'd be looking for it to do that before I decide to get into it. And then it's going to come up to these extensions, and then it's out of the scan. So at that point, it's either going to have finished its move and come back down, because it will ping price back into the scan, or it's going to carry on going on up and decide that it's out of this scan. Excuse me, in which case I'll have to look for a previous scan to see what pitchforks I've got coming up here, trend lines. All the pitchforks are trend lines, but with Fibonacci built in. What's Fibonacci? All you need to know is it's in everything in the universe, from planets to our bodies to the charts, and it is magic numbers basically that work. It's based on maths, which makes it very accurate, and the Harmonic Scanner is also based on Fibonacci. They're just magic numbers that work. So here I've got, if I've got a break and a retest, then I might consider getting into that. The only thing that puts me off is we've got 20 pips up to the extension. So it looks like it's in a strong buy mode. EN is a very nice pair. It is one of my favorites. It is a fast moving pair, 10 out of 10. I've got a currency speed list that I use, but this is one of the few pairs that I like to get greedy on. I do like this pair very much. Now I use something else called the Hull multi-time frame analysis. I only use this for exits, not entries, but sometimes I click it on and that shows me in the background that band is the 15-minute time frame, and that's telling me that it's green on the 15 minutes. So you can see here the little line going through it, red and green. It is a lagging indicator. Like most indicators, it's about 30% lag. So although it turned red there, it didn't actually show red for 15 minutes. It went back green Trying to find a good example. Here's an example back here. So price on the 1 minute was red. It then turned green, but it took a little lag. You can see it still shows red on the 15-minute. There's a lag there before the actual 15-minute chart in the background on the band shows green. So if I got say I got 2 long flips, if I was in that for a sell here and I had 1 long flip green, that really isn't really too long a flip. I might still have stayed in because it hasn't gone that much over the 62 moving average. But 2 long flips, if I was in a sell and I got 2 long flips like that and that green one, 2 long flips on the hull is my signal to get out of a trade if it moves in the opposite direction, and that's how I use it. You can also change it to here. Here's the settings. You have to put an enable code in if you want to take a screenshot. Make sure you tick that box on the left. You'll find this in indicators on TradingView. If you put that on the 60-minute, now I'm not often in trades this long, but you'll see these bands switch on the background. Sometimes I switch it on. There we are. So it's saying to me that over the 60-minute time frame, it has just turning green there. If you can see it at the edge, whether it stays green, it can sometimes switch back and forth till it stabilizes, decides if it is carrying on as a sell in the longer term or green for a buy. But so I don't always put it on the 60-minute because sometimes it can be a bit confusing. So that's the hull. So it's done a break and a retest, but I like to do a break and a retest of 10 pips before I consider it a solid break. And that is 10 pips there, but it is just dropping back below. Whether that is slippage or not, or whether it's decided it doesn't want to carry on to those outer extensions and out of this scan, it may have decided it's finished its run, in which case we'll see it drop below the 62. So let's just look at that before we move on to something else. To have a look at it, let me put it on the hourly, just so we can see the overall longer term trend, because the trend is your friend when you're trading. So let's see, this was an upward scan, meaning a buy scan, and nice long move up there, and then there's its long move, and it's just looks 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like, well, I don't know what it looks like, whether it's carrying on or not, because that is now at the outer edge of this scan. So I haven't got any more upward momentum pitchforks, which is what I use as my dashboard. So at the moment, it looks like it's sort of, you know, completed on that wave, and that's, so you can see that it's met these lines of resistance before here, there on the, this is on the hourly, and it's been in a downtrend for quite a while, quite a long downtrend, the euro against the New Zealand dollar there. But whether I've got any more scans that will come up around that area, I'll just have to see if anything's, that's a down one. So that one was from here in earlier April. So it could well have finished on this upward one, and now it might come back down. I know this looks a bit confusing. I don't often have them crisscrossing, looking like a phyllo pastry tart or something, but that might say to me it's going to reject off all this, and it's now carrying on in a downward trend. So I probably wouldn't get into that as a buy at the moment. It didn't break and retest enough. It's on the outer edges of the extension of that scan. It was working. You can see how it's respected this scan quite nicely, and quarter theory. So it might well be turning back down into this most recent scan that I've got on it. So I will put there, you can see this one. I'll put that back on, and we'll leave that one for the minute. So I don't think that, even though the alert went off, I don't think there's a trade there that I would feel comfortable taking. I'll put it on the 15-minute, but you might want to watch that on your charts. That's on the 15-minute. And we'll just briefly go over yesterday's trades, which have just come in profit. Before we move on to something else. So this is on the 15-minute, and you can see it's got 5 minutes left of the 15-minute. And there's a little green candle there. I don't know if you can see it, which is a sell candle. So you need to, when you're getting into trades, look at different time frames for what we call confluence. I see Tony Lupino's on. He's very good at confluence and looking at 5, 15-minute, and sometimes the hour, to see if the trend is the same across the candles, across the time frames. So ask Tony if you want to know more about that. This is the 5-minute, and you can see indeed it's rejected off this pitchfork and quarter theory. When it had that break and retest, as I said, it was quite small. It was in the outer extensions, so it does look like it's not liking going through those. So it's coming down for a sell. So you've got 50 pips here. So use your another thing I do is use my 1 minute. This is one of my confirmations. A break and a retest of the 1 minute trend line. I do use that a lot. So if I was looking for this now as a possible sell, then come up here to the left hand menu and just take a trend line and draw it like this. And you want at least 3 touches. Now I need to change, because the charts are always forming channels. Channel, 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 and I'll go through those one day. They vary according to the time frame you're on, and you can trade the channel. You just need to change this, because another tip is to keep different lines in different colors. So my trend lines are always green and my alerts are pale blue, and then my brain doesn't get muddled up when I'm coming onto the charts. Like, I was up very late last night in Asian session doing chart setups for this morning, because it's always good to set your charts up 6 to 8 hours, 12 hours beforehand. Let the market settle down for when you're going to do your hour of trading. Don't just hop onto the charts and find instant trades, because you'll be working a bit blind. It's a bit like a sportsman going out without, you know, your pads and your baton, you know, and your hat and everything. So here it looks like there's all the touches here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 touches. So if I put this here, this would be one of my confirmations. So you can see here it's doing a break and a retest of my 1 minute trend line, which means it's changing its direction. So I'll just take that off and show you what I would look for. I'm not going to get into this because I'm teaching on this, but otherwise this is typically what I would be doing. So I'd be looking for this break and retest and down, and then I'd want it to come under I'd want to see that 62 turning down. So my confirmations would be a 10 pip break and retest of quarter theory and the pitchfork. Let's give it a moment to, so that is to about where it is, that candle is at the moment. So let it come back up to that ceiling, those lines of resistance. Don't get in now. You'd want to let the market do its thing, let it come back and retest its area of resistance, and then you've got one confirmation there. Your second confirmation is you'll see that candle, it's broken and now it's coming up to retest it. So that's your second confirmation to get in. You'll have different confirmations if you're doing like BYOB, and then third confirmation would be price coming under the 62 EMA, or I could put a Fibonacci on, because if I let price come under, I only like to work to a 10 pip stop loss. If it's GBP pairs, I might have 15. So let me see if I can just get that exactly on 10. So I like my stop loss to be, I like it to cover those lines of support and resistance to give me protection against getting taken out of the trade. And typically I'll go for 20 pips, which is a 1 to 2 risk to rewards. That's 10 pips to win 20. And that's my start point. Now, price will always move between levels. So realistically, always when you get into a trade, think how you're going to get out of a trade. Realistically, I'd be saying to myself, I'll monitor it for the 20 pips. If I hadn't made any profit today, then I would say to myself, I might bag the 20 pips and go, because then I've hit my trade goal for the day, or my 25, which would be my daily target. So have your daily target, have your goals. That's how you'll compound your account over the year. You don't want to be treating this like a horse race. It's consistency and plodding along and process and repetition that wins the day. And then I'd be looking realistically to come down to the next level. Price will always move between levels. So there's your 40 pips down to that level. So that's how I look to analyze getting into a trade. So because I would want to have my 10 pips there, and I wouldn't want to wait until it had come down here, because then I'm not able to keep on my small stop loss and cover those 2 lines there, which gets my percentage gain up. I would decide then that I would put a fib on it instead. And I may have this set on, I've got it set on a different scale. Let me just come to the settings, put different, that's the 25 to life that we do, which I'll do in a minute. This is a different set of settings. So from past to present, and we want, this is a sell, so we start with 100% up here. And what we're looking for is to see what it's going to hit off. And it's just rejecting off that 88.6, which is a very strong boomerang effect. That's the best one really. And everyone has different fibs that they like. Fibs can get confusing. I don't use them all the time. Sometimes there's not an obvious place where to put a fib, and if you get confused, then you just take them off. Sometimes I feel I'm a bit confused and I just think it's not working for me today. Just don't use them. But why I like to use them is because they give me an indication of profit levels, where the 0 would be 1, profit level 1, the minus 27, profit level 2, and then minus 61.8 for profit level 3. So I'll know, and there's my quarter theory. So that's how I will be aiming to look at how to get out of a trade once I'm in it. Just take that off. Does that sound as right? Has anyone got any questions? Anybody in any pairs or doing anything at the moment? Nope. Everyone good? Okay, so let's look back at the trades we took yesterday on the 25 to life. We'll move on to some of those. I just thought I'd go through that as the alert went off to see if there was a trade there at the moment. So you can see at the moment you might want to be looking at that for a sell. But please do your own analysis. So let's look at EuroCAD, which we had on yesterday's session here, and I've put it back on for you before I came on. So this was the 25 to life, and you can see now the problem with this was that when we got in, the D point was, hang on, let me just see if I've got padlocks on. The D point moved on this because when we, can't move that, that one's locked, that's right, there we are. When we got into this, it was, let me just take that off, hide that. It's a timing issue because the D point moved on this, and we've been seeing a bit of that on the, I don't know why I can't move that at the moment. Just wanted to show you where it was when we were on the session yesterday. Where are we? That one. I think that's it. It was down here. So we would have lost the, if you did get into it, we would have lost the 25 pips on the stop loss. I did look at it last night, late. If you looked at it this morning and put the 25 to life on, then it worked out beautifully. And if we come over to the scanner, I have to log in again. Just bear with me, guys. We'll just look at EuroCAD on here. So when you join us, you will get access to the im.centre, and this is where you'll find the academies. Very nice little set of 4 series of mostly short videos of 5 minutes. So we do strongly recommend that you go through those. They just give you the good grounding in Forex and the basics. What is a pip? How lot size? You know, the basic terminology. And then down here, that's the Go Live TV with the top educators. And then here are strategies. And a lot of us use the Harmonic Scanner down here. So you'll see the products along here. There's Vibrata we use for the Be Your Own Bank. And here's the Harmonics, which is free as part of the basic platinum package. And then doesn't matter which broker you've got, you can use any of, you know, it's not linked. So I've got Pepperstone and I've got JFEX and I've got a couple of others, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to go to JFEX, for example. I start with Trader's Way on the hourly because that's the one that's the main feed for the Harmonic Scanner. And here's the EuroCAD one there. Now, when we were on yesterday, the D point was still down here. And then that's the, just move it to my local time zone. It automatically draws. So the Harmonic Scanner redraws, and you can see that was as of, won't hold the point. So it was up until 10 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock UK last night. Well, that's the 20th, that one. Yeah, it was definitely down there anyway, when we looked at that one. And anyway, it's now redrawn up to here today. So you do need to check the scanner, excuse me, when you're looking at these trades, just in case it's moved to a higher point, because you'll have to adjust your fib settings. And this is what happened on here. So if you got into it after you'd redrawn it, and I'm pretty sure I put this on, you want 2 candles to the left or right of the D, whichever is the furthest away. That was that one. Measure the 50%, put your 0 on there. Here are the fib settings. I'll just see if I can bring them up for you, just so you can see them if you want to take a screenshot. So I've saved it as a template called 25 to life, and there's your screenshot. I put my stop loss in pink because I don't like red, and here's your take profit line, which will either be the 0.75 or the minus for the sell, or sorry, for the buy, or minus 0.75 for the buy. So you switch one on or off depending on whether we're in the sell for the sell limit, or a buy scan where you've got the D point at the bottom. You can see the D point is at the top here, which means we're looking at a sell. So once we've drawn that on with your 100%, your stop loss at your D point, because we've worked it out for you to reduce the stop loss. And what I liked about this one today was that you've got the quarter theory, which, as I say, is an aggressive line of support or resistance running just by that D point. And you can see how price has had trouble breaking through that, it's respected it, and you know that helps push the price down, and indeed it's done that. So it came out, just come out through the breakout zone, which is the 0 in white, and it's just come up and activated the 25 line, which is our sell limit, and you can see how it wicked off quarter theory. So that was another very good trade setup from that point of view. Gives you confidence that price is most likely, you know, if it's rejected off that, then it's most likely going to do what you want it to do. In this case, we want it to come down and sell, and we're now looking for it to come down to our take profit line. So it's got 40 pips to go. So depending on what time frame you're going to work this on, you could get into this. You could have got in just now on a sell stop or a market execution. Looking at the lower time frames, because I like to work pinging off pitchforks and quarter theory. So on the 50, and you're below the 62 moving average, the 1 minute moving average. So you might want to think about this for a trade idea. And that is, it's moved 10 pips. So normally I'll be further up because I like if I am in a market execution, a smaller stop loss. And you've got how many you could put on your BYOB. You've got 12 pips down to quarter theory, which will be, see how it's rejected off it there. I'm on the 15-minute time frame at the moment. So you've got some pips there. So you're below quarter theory, you're below our 25 line, where it will have activated on a sell limit pending order. You're below quarter theory, and its next level where it will stall out like it did there, or break through and come down to our take profit line, which we did measure yesterday, is down there. So you've got about 10 pips to there, and then to get the measuring ruler, so you have 50 pips between these orange lines. So there to our take profit is 34 pips. So I'll leave that one with you. You can decide what you're going to do. Please let me know afterwards if you made pips, put them in our rainy pips, tell us how you got on. We like to know, obviously, how well we're all doing. So if you'd taken it off yesterday on the lower D point, it was a loss of 25 pips. These things happen. And that was a timing issue, so I can only say please double check the D point on the scanner first. And here you can see it's moving down nicely. This is the current momentum, the 1 minute trend. So it's moving down nicely there. So that's Euro NZD. These bars up here show us that we're just in the New York session, and mostly the biggest movement in New York UK time will be between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. The biggest session, of course, is London, just slightly pre-London, and then here you can see you get big moves of about 50 pips, things and more. You know, so that's your biggest session in the globe. So the next one I wanted to look at was just CJ CAD JPY. Again, I pulled it up from yesterday, and this one I think worked out pretty well. And in fact, it was a great example of how quarter theory, I changed the take profit when I put it on the watch list for you, because I could see that the next level would be 3.3 pips above our take profit. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but it does add up over a year, just getting next to 3 pips a day, just simply because you've used something like quarter theory. So I felt quite confident doing that. So let's have a look and analyze this trade. We put our, this was a buy limit, the D point at the bottom, it's a buy scan. We're on the 1 hourly, and we put our 25 to life fib on. And so what we wanted it to do, if I use the brush, we wanted it from the, there's your, that's the candle that was furthest away, the second candle either to the left or the right of the D point, which is the furthest away from the D point. You can clearly see it's this long green one. and you measure 50% of just the body of the candle. Ignore the wicks on this strategy. So we put our breakout point, the 0, there, and what we wanted it to do after it's moved out of this structure, because the two candles to the left or right are part of what we call the structure of the D point. So from this point here, we were looking for a candle close above the 0, and you can see we've got that on these candles here. And then we wanted it to come back down, and I'll join it up with that, which it did there. And it then picked up here. That's activating our buy limit on the blue line, and indeed it moved up and it hit our take profit here, and it's gone on in fact to do another 20 pips or so. It's still going up, another 16 pips. But instead of giving you this level at 75.967 or whatever it was I recorded on the watch list, I gave you a take profit of 70.76, which is the orange line. That was an extra 3.3 pips, because I knew if it were to come up this far, it was going to want to hit quarter theory. So I was quite pleased at being able to show you how you can use quarter theory and sometimes pitchforks, because I did say, bear in mind when you're taking this trade that the pitchfork is cutting across our projection through to that take profit level, and price may stall out. And I'm on the hourly, and indeed you can see that it rejected the pitchfork, went down, came back up, and then broke through it. So really you can use these things to stop you panicking and thinking, is it really reversing on me? Have I made the right decision? And from using pitchforks, you can see that price has to struggle at that level and decide if it's rejecting or going to break through. And once you see how these strong lines can work for you, then you realize what's going on, and that can help you close the trade or stick with it. Because if we went down to the 1 minute on this one, and when I finish with this, we'll look for a couple more trades. Let me just see if I can get back to that point on quarter theory. I think I'm on the minimum there. Quarter theory, sometimes it doesn't appear when I go to the 1 minute chart. Let's just do the pitchfork. So here on the, let me take these off, just clean it up a bit. So here we've got the pitchfork running through. Let's take that one off. And you can see it respects the pitchfork there, comes right up to our take profit line, respecting the pitchfork here. And you can see how it respects the levels, rejects the pitchfork there, consolidates along, playing between the 1 minute moving average and the 15-minute one. Nice crossover there for a sell. And then to the pitchfork, a little bit of resistance there, drops back down to the 62, bit of slippage. Needn't bother about a bit of slippage. And then once price is above it, that's giving you a signal here in the pitchfork for a buy, and the crossover staying above that 1 minute. And then you can see how it's respected the quarter theory, rejected off it, little bit of slippage, but still above the 62. This is your signal here on this pitchfork to get out of this trade. I know it's come right back down. It depends how much retrace you want off your pips. You know how much stop loss you had. If you've got in somewhere like there on that pitchfork there, up to there, you're already up 45 pips. So if you're more of a swing trader, then you'd be sitting in, if you hadn't got out of it here where it's crossed below the 62, I would have been out of it by then. So you're going to be sitting in it another 2 hours before you start to see it climb up again. So you have to decide, you know, how long you want to put alerts on or sit and look at trades, or do you just bag your 45 pips, get out, and then come back in again at another level? You know, it's really up to you, depending on whether you like to sit in trades or not. So that was yesterday's CAD JPY. So we did, I've written it down somewhere, something like 40 point, I think it was 40.7 pips on that there, because I took it to quarter theory. So that was a good one, minus the 25 from the other one I called yesterday. So a net of 15 pips on that. So couldn't have done anything about yesterday's. These things happen. It was just a timing issue from when I was on and when the D point was there. As you can see from this, they're very good trades. They work out really great. Very easy strategy to learn. You don't have to look at my quarter theory and pitchforks. As you get a little bit more intermediate, you can use them, but don't use a whole load of indicators and get yourself confused. Stick to your checklist that you've got, and you'll be good to go. But if you want to add on something like quarter theory, it's just a very simple way of giving you some easy lines of support and resistance without having to draw them all manually yourself. Okay, so I'm going to look at the harmonic scanner just to check now if we've got anything new that we can draw. That's Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. It's a shark pattern, shark's bite. So we always wait for it to reach the second entry point or take profit one. It's already moved its way down. And that weird wick there, that means there's no real volume. That's bankers trying to push the price up because really they want to sell it. So there's not really what we call an order book in there. But what they'll want to do is come back up and collect money from this position, because as they've driven price up, people have been buying in, including themselves, and now they're stuck as price is falling. So that's how they hedge their bets. They'll want to collect back some of their money where they bought in at a higher price. And that's what bankers do, but we understand that and we use strategies accordingly. So that one's already moved its way down. This is the GBP, Great British Pound, Canadian dollar, working its way up. That's not a 25 to life, therefore, because it's already on its way. And Great British Pound, Japanese yen, again, that's already moved up to take profit one. Now, when you're using the harmonic scanner, which, as I say, isn't an add-on, you can, it's just part of your platinum package, you can just look at these trade ideas here that the harmonic scanner gives you. You know, you will need a slightly bigger stop loss because they do take a while to work their way through. If we go to an older one, which is completed, find one that's, this one's gone, this is Euro Japanese yen. You can see it's completed, meaning it's come down to the C point, because scans will, there are plotting reversal points in the market. So they go high to low, X, A, B, C, D. And in this case, it's a sell scan that it's plotted. So it's telling you off algorithms that it uses where the market is going to reverse. And then obviously the opposite for a buy scan, where you'll start with the D point at the bottom. So on this, if we take a measurement tool from our D point across to where it reached the C point, that took 17 hours to get down to there, so nearly a day. Some of them take a lot longer. Euro USD, here's a buy scan that hasn't completed. Oh, that's slow. That's interesting. That's only up to take profit one. I think some of us have been looking at that one. So just to get to take profit one, that's already taken 5 days. So you can, as I say, use these as your trade idea. Stop loss entry. This is a shark. Shark always gives you 2 entry points, and we always say wait for the second entry point or take profit one. So actually this is on a shark basis. This is actually valid. So let's have a look and see. Let me have a look at this. I probably have this one drawn up. So this is an H1. Make sure your time zone is your local one. Click on this little timestamp at the bottom and it'll bring up what one you're in. London, UTC +1. I'm Paris. So make sure it's on +2. And then I come over here and move this. You can see the dotted line, the vertical cursor. And just, if you do want to plot this on TradingView so you can monitor your own trades, just make a note of the time at the bottom. It's written in American with the month first. So I always change it round. And I'm pretty sure I got this, but I'll just write it down anyway while we're going, just in case. So coming up to end of time. If anyone's got any questions, we'll just see what this looks like as a trade. I haven't found a 25 to life at the moment. I thought it would be good to go through some of the, just to back test, show you some of the trades we've taken, because I realized sometimes I move on without going through on here the results, which I thought, you know, you'd find useful. So Euro USD, I'm not sure I've got that one up here. Let's just have a look. And you need to make sure that when you're on your TradingView, if you are plotting your harmonic scans across, because I keep them, because then I'll have sometimes 13 trades or so off the one scan, rather than just taking the one trade idea which is on the scanner, because they disappear after a while. That's why I like to keep them. So you need to click on the same time frame up here, top left. It was an hourly scan. I did already have this marked because those pink lines are the suggested scanner entry. So here is the scan, and it's just at the take profit one. So we'll finish with an analysis of this as getting into the trade now, as a trade idea for now rather. So you can see that it did come out of the scan a little bit, very wicky, a lot of wicks, respected quarter theory, and finally done the break and retest again off that D point and the quarter theory, and that's pushed it up, and it's now above the moving out, the 1 minute moving average. And on the 15-minute, we have it falling back down a bit. It's still above the 62. It is moving its way up though. And on the 1 minute, just to give us where we are with the current momentum, it's slipping below the 62. So it's probably coming back down to retest the 15-minute line. And you can see it's done that. So don't get in it at the moment, because it's in the middle, it's in the sea in the middle of nowhere. Wait till it gets back up to 1.08827, and you'll need to put on some other confirmations as well. But you can see the 1 minute crossed over, then price came back down to retest the 15-minute, and it moved on up, but it's still slipping back through. So it's not moving. It is, I think it's quite a slow moving pair, Euro USD. Let me just check. Oh, I've got it as a 5, and I've got a note saying it usually trends very nicely. But at the moment, I haven't got a lot to help me get into a trade with it. For me, I'd be looking at this next level, or back when if it came back down here. That's got a pitchfork there, and that's the D point pitchfork. This is your take profit one on the scanner. It has hit that, and it is saying that it wants to go up. The scanner entry has said, let's just find that point. I had it written in here. Take profit 2. At 1 0.09245. So if I put a Fibonacci on, I'll just have to change it to, oh, I've got the right settings on that one. So let me put the Fibonacci on, see if that tells us anything. Previous low, I think I'm going to go, could either go from there, I think I'll go from that one past the present to there. And it's just slipped through off that 78.6, but also the 61.8. So that's take profit one, if you remember, which we just drew up. We've got 1 minute left, guys. So if anyone's got any questions, please ask. I don't want to hold Sharon up. Then it'll be Sarah Jane with tea, tantrums and trading. And then Les at 7. He's very good on the banker's strategy we just talked about with the order book. Very good session last night. If you want to join that. So on this basis, I'd wait till it's above the 62, and it is heading up that way. But on my confirmations, I don't really have a basis to get in because I like to work off the pitchforks and quarter theory, and I haven't got at the moment. For me, it's just like in the middle of nowhere. So I haven't got anything to get in on. So I'm just going to stop sharing now, and thank you very much for joining. I hope that wasn't too fast for you, Zelly. This is a bit more of an intermediate session. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
How are you?
It's not bad at all. Thank you.
I'm just going to stop